Hey, babe, welcome back to the Turned On Woman podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Schaefer. I am so stoked that you are here because this is the place where you learn how to turn on your magnetic feminine energy so that you can be the turned on woman who creates her reality with a man in it. Because guess what, baby boo? The man is not separate from you. He's not separate from you. So, what do you have to do to get to the man? You simply have to change who you are being. Because from a very young age, we learn ways to be that do not actually serve us into our adulthood. And we call this conditioning. We learn rules, we learn ways to be, we learn how to be the good girl who is loved and accepted, but she's not actually truly, authentically being herself. So it is not your fault that at this point you probably feel like, you might be behind in your own relationship or dating life, or that you should have been married with kids on the way by now. And it's not your fault that, layers and layers of conditioning have happened over probably a majority of your life if you're in your 30s or 40s. And it is your responsibility and your biggest opportunity to become more self-aware of the ways in which you are not being truly, authentically aligned to who you are, to your soul self, or to your inner being. So this is where we peel back the layers. Your biggest opportunity is to peel back the layers and to uncover who it is that you truly are, which turns on your energy. So today I want to talk to you about cleaning up your energy. And I'm going to give an example of my client, Emily, and how she cleaned up her energy and actually met a man and started dating a very wonderful man. So cleaning up your energy first and foremost, though, is how do you even know where to start when it comes to cleaning up your energy? The thing is we have to really start to become aware of our thoughts that we are thinking on a regular basis and how we feel. How you feel. This is exactly where I started when I hit my rock bottom at 30 years old. And I got out of a long-term relationship. I started dating. Then I hit my rock bottom because I was like, oh my gosh, I went through like 2 breakups in the same year. And the man that I dated only for 2 months, I gave him everything. And that was the problem. And I was like, that's when I hit the rock bottom. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm just giving. At that point, I realized I'm also the problem. That was the problem. So therefore, I also was like, okay, I am the solution. I was like, something has to change. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So I was like, okay, I'm finally going to look at myself in the mirror and figure out what is going on here. I started working with a coach who helped me realize where my mindset was off, where I was people pleasing, where I was afraid to be myself in front of men, where I was making major assumptions and projecting things onto men without ever communicating them, without owning like my side of the street and like my truest desires, and just truly I was just like trying to go along with like what they wanted, and was like trying to be the cool girl and the chill girl that was like, yeah, sure, we can do that. Yeah, no, like inconsistency is cool. Not. So that helped me start to clean up my mindset. And then I also started reading Joe Dispenza. I started learning about energy. I started learning about law of attraction. I started learning that who I'm being is the most important thing, because that's going to attract exactly what I want. Like that's determining what I am attracting. And we hear this all the time. Write down your list of the qualities that you want in a partner and become that partner, But what we don't realize is a lot of our thoughts are very habitual and they turn into beliefs. And those beliefs, because they are thoughts that we frequent, because they're just kind of on autopilot, that becomes our frequency, your energy. So you really have to take a look at, what am I choosing to believe and how am I going to change that? So I was feeling, pretty down on being single at 30 when I thought I would, be married with kids on the way, and that I was totally dating for the outcome in my 20s. So I was holding on to relationships that weren't serving me, that weren't really lighting me up, that weren't lighting my soul on fire. I was even in like a toxic relationship that, I got out of, but it was like I wanted to fix that relationship rather than let it go. And I was like, oof, if I had just had more self-worth, more self-belief, in the possibility and what was available to me as far as a relationship, if I had been shown from a young age what a healthy relationship looks like, I probably would not have stayed in that so long. But really, I was putting my worth and my value in, I have a partner and I'm going to have kids. So I was really holding on so tightly to any relationship because I was like, I'm going to make this happen because it means something about me if I don't. I didn't know how to relax. I didn't know how to let go. I didn't know how to go with the flow. I was very strategic, very analytical, very calculated, all in my masculine. It was all in my mind, and I was so focused on getting to the outcome. But then when I hit this rock bottom, I was like, I've done everything. There's got to be another way. So technically I hadn't done everything, but I was like, there has to be a better way. I've done everything that I thought I could do. I followed everybody's advice and this and that. And these relationships are still not fulfilling, not working out. And so finally, when I looked in the mirror and then, as I mentioned, worked with a coach, started reading Joe Dispenza. I also started looking into my relationship to myself and my sensuality, my relationship to my expression, am I being too much? And I was like, no, I just want to be more of me. I want to be unapologetically me. I want to have fun. I want to play. I want to wear fun colors. I want to buy fun things. I want to buy things that aren't just practical. I want to buy things that are for pleasure. I want to do things that are for pleasure. I started skating for the first time during the pandemic because I was like, that looks like fun. So I started doing things that just filled me up rather than it needing to get me to a specific outcome or it being for a specific purpose. And I find that that's something that's missing with a lot of women is doing something that's just for pleasure, just for play, just for fun and the joy of it. Not because you need to be perfect at it, not because it's going to get you something. It's just the only thing it's going to get you or bring you is the experience of it. It's like, try something new, get out of your comfort zone, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so many women are just on autopilot because that's where it feels safe. But actually the truest safety and authenticity is actually in the unknown, And when you become your authentic self, that's when more of these unknown possible outcomes can happen for you, can come to you, because you're truly being in alignment with your authentic self, which is the vibration, the frequency of truth, of your truth. And that gets to change. It's not set in stone. It's who you are today. Are you being present with who you are today? Are you being authentic with who you are today? And tomorrow you get to choose again. You get permission to do whatever you want. You're creating your reality. But oftentimes we think that our day-to-day autopilot, the sameness, is the safe zone, when really creating ourselves over and over again is what truly brings us what we want. And ultimately, the truest sense of safety is within change, because change is the only thing that's inevitable in this life. Okay, we're going on a little bit of a tangent here, but anyway. So when I started learning about energy and realizing that who I am being is so important to the results that I'm getting in dating, once I started to change who I was being, all of a sudden I started to align with more and more men who were representative of the desired man and relationship that I want to be in. And dating is a process, and dating is a refinement process. So I would meet one man and then I was like, oh, okay, he has these qualities. Okay, yeah, these things, maybe not so much. Okay, yeah, we're no longer aligned. Okay, move on, 2 weeks, and then I would date someone and it was like, okay, I'm dating you and we're getting along, conversation's good, things are good. And, I would date that guy for 4 weeks. And then that was that. And then, and then my life just kept going on. I moved to Mexico and started to, again, meet more and more aligned men who were expanding my desire every single time, because I was able to see, okay, I no longer want this. I want more of this. And taking with me, of course, my no longer attachment to the outcome. So essentially being present to what the relationship was and not getting attached, because I was like, well, if it's not this guy, then there's always an opportunity for the next one. And I'm not looking for the perfect person, but I am looking for someone who resonates with the same things that I want in my life. And those themes have gotten bigger and bigger. And every single time I've cleaned up my energy around certain themes such as I want to treat, my sex life like sacred sexual energy. That was a big theme. And then I went into like a big intimate relationship where it was like, whoa, I didn't know it could be like this. And that like expanded me. And I was like, yes, this. But then that man and I didn't have the same future outcome, a future desire, let's say, for family and children. And so I was like, okay, well, that's just not a fit then. Okay. So then I was like, okay, I'm claiming that. That's what I want. And I want someone who is like in the building phase of life, that is like really building and that can like, build beside me and can be like a motivator with me. And now I'm currently dating someone who's in that phase of their life. And I'm like, okay, it feels good. And we have the same, future desire, and we're uncovering more and more things. We're early on in dating. So like, we will see. This is how we expand ourselves through dating, when we start to clean up our energy and we start to follow what feels good rather than settling for, okay, let me see, I'm not going to like trying to change this guy or trying to fix him or getting attached or getting carried away. Right in the beginning, it's like, no, I know what I want and I know what I'm worth. And I know that I can have and attract my desire. So now I'm willing to uncover, okay, more and more of this. Is this truly in alignment with what I desire? So cleaning up your energy is all about you feeling good, you knowing that your desire is possible for you, and not getting doubt in the way, not getting pressure, not feeling the pressure, because these are lenses of lack. And we know that there's one energy that we have, and you either filter it through lack or you filter it through abundance. So when you can get rid of the, when is this going to happen? How is it going to happen? Where is the man going to be? That's questioning things that you're not in charge of. When the only thing that you're in charge of is your energy. So filtering it through abundance of the possibility of like, okay, like today could be the day that I meet the man. So what am I going to do with my life? How am I going to fill myself up? What am I going to do to feel good regardless of meeting the man? Not needing the man to increase or improve, enhance your experience, but meeting a man from a place of, I'm already good. I'm good, and I'm ready to go even deeper into expanding myself, because a man, being in relation to a man, will take you deeper into your own self-discovery, will help you become more of who you are, will also help you heal the parts of yourself that still need to be healed. So he'll take you to a place that you can't go on your own. That's why we get into relationship. It's a desire to know more of yourself in relation to another, because a man is simply a reflection of you. And of course, he's going to add to your experience that's the place you want to get to, instead of him filling a void. Because if you are dating from lack, you're going to match with someone where you both are going to not be putting yourselves first. You're going to kind of be filling this void, and you're always going to be feeling this unfulfilled sense because, well, you didn't follow your desire in the first place. You were just filling a void. So you have to fill yourself up first, follow your desires first. Like, for instance, for me, I was in a fine relationship with a man while I was living in Austin, Texas. And I was like, yeah, but this is just like fine. And I was like, but I really I want to live abroad. Like, I want to speak Spanish. I want to be in another culture. I just want to experience more in this life. And this man, he's great, but he doesn't want that. And so I hadn't claimed that desire at the beginning of the relationship. I didn't even know that was something that was kind of like possible. But then I grew more and more fond of that desire because I knew it was within me. That then I was like, okay, this relationship, this is not it for me, because my desire is actually more important to me than just going about things in the same way. And so then that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to follow the desire. When I got here, I was like, maybe I'll meet a Latino man. And I did date a couple of Latino men. But then I'm like, this desire brought me here for a reason. And I'm now letting go of the attachment of how it needs to unfold or look like. I'm no longer like, oh, I need to be with a Latino man, because I really feel so much fulfillment through the connections that I've made here, through the friends that I've made, that desire feels fulfilled. And so now I'm with a man who's not Latino, and I'm like, okay, like, let's see where this goes. Let's see how this unfolds. I'm trusting in the process. And my energy was super aligned for this man to come in, because like I said, I was claiming a man who is building in the building phase of his life. And so am I. And I wanted to align on that. So let's also talk about Emily and how she cleaned up her energy, because she's a really good example. So when I started working with Emily, she was working a couple of like restaurant jobs, and it was interesting because that's where she would get a lot of sort of like some questions and feedback and, some information around herself in relation to men, because she wasn't actively dating anybody, but she was like, there's men at the restaurant, and there's kind of a guy that, that I like, and la la la. And though she would always talk about how one of her restaurant jobs didn't feel good. It just didn't feel good. And so we were talking about, how she's prioritizing herself, showing up for herself, getting into her own pleasure. She did one of my programs called Play, where I had her playing in her feminine energy, which is really opening your feminine energy up into receptivity and curiosity and, self-validation, and playing in your energy, knowing that you're the gift of the woman. And so she was continuing to play in her energy and showing up for herself and bringing more pleasurable activities to herself. She was someone who was like, yeah, but I go to the gym. And I was like, no, honey, an actual activity, like something for you to really to enjoy just for you. So that was a big eye opener for her. And she kept bringing up the heaviness of this job and the sort of like sexualization that would go on at this job because of the type of restaurant job that it was. And we just ended up talking about, what if this energy is pretty like heavy, and it's a place that she's in quite often. I suggested, do you want to stay here in this job? Because it seems quite misaligned with the energies of what she wanted to embody more and more of. And she was like, you know what, you're right. And eventually she left and went to a gym. And then she went to this gym and she was liking it. She was learning new things. Of course, there's men around, which is always fun. But again, she was having, these just reflections of, conversations and noticing conversations with men, and noticing how the men that she was working with were communicating with her, were treating her, were talking about other women. And again, it didn't sound like a supportive environment for the type of energy that she was embodying, and the type of like just energetic environment influence, because we have to be very aware of our environment and how it's affecting our energy. So she's cleaning up her energy by cleaning up her environment that she's in, by choosing the environment that she was in, and doing as much as she can to not let it affect her. But ultimately she has a choice. Okay, do I stay in this environment, or do I look for another environment? So yet again, we talked about, this environment also doesn't sound very conducive for your energy and who you're embodying and what you're growing towards. So yet again, she left that job and went to a new restaurant. And she noticed there was a man at the restaurant, and they were coworkers. And, one thing led to another. And she found out like, oh, he's interested in me. So she started to let him pursue her. And she was also interested in getting to know him. And I did ask, and I clarified with her. I was like, did he catch your eye at first? Was this someone that you were interested in off the bat? And she was like, no, honestly, like he didn't catch my eye. It wasn't until, he was pursuing me and I saw how he was treating me that he really grew on me. And that's a theme that I see a lot, is that when you meet someone and you are like calm and you are not putting them on a pedestal and they treat you well and you're just, treating each other more or less like as equals, but he's pursuing you. And again, not putting the man on the pedestal, maybe having a little bit of like nerves or excitement, but allowing him to grow on you. I feel like those are the relationships that you're like, oh, these have the deepest connection, because I wasn't seeking from the beginning. I wasn't putting him on a pedestal. I wasn't trying to get his validation. These are like, that's a surefire way to know that this is something that, could grow into something, could have some very, just like a good run, some good lessons, things like that. Like it's a good situation to be in. So something to look out for is, because you'll hear this a lot, is that typically that initial spark and, excitement about someone is kind of your nervous system being like, like, I don't know, like it feels like butterflies, but really what we're looking for is calmness and the ease, and allowing someone to like, oh, how are they showing up for me? Oh, like not really making it a big deal. So something to look for. So now Emily left 2 different jobs. It wasn't looking for a man, but was being very aware of like the masculine energy around her and the energy that was coming towards her from men. She cleaned up the environment that she was in because she wanted to feel good more often. She didn't want to go into work and this place of work where she has to spend hours. She didn't want to have to be like, defensive or on edge, or feeling like, she's not protected and provided for by these masculine energies that were, sexualizing her, or, just not treating women with integrity and like dignity. And so she cleaned up both of those environments, and then voila, she walked right into alignment with a man. And this man pursued her and started dating her, and they're still dating today. We'll see where it goes. They're in their 20s, mid-20s, and this is going to be a fabulous relationship for her to grow in, to learn a lot from, and who knows where it will go. But dating is all about growth. When your goal is growth rather than the outcome, that is when you learn from every date that you go on. Every date is data. And you give yourself an opportunity to embody more of yourself. You give yourself an opportunity to look at, what is this relationship showing me? Where am I growing? You're going to grow through the challenges. You're going to grow through the conflict, because conflict is a beautiful thing that creates more connection and intimacy. You start to practice being less reactive, more in your truth. How can you stand in your truth in relation to this man, continue to be who you are without, people pleasing, without giving in, without faking it, without, changing who you need to be? How can you stay true to who you are? And that's what I had to do in my past relationship, was I had to stay true to my desire of wanting a family and kids, even though I had a beautiful, supportive, loving, intimate relationship with a man. But my desire couldn't be fulfilled with him. And so I had to say, okay, it's time to let this go, because I had to stay true to myself and trust that I will realign to someone else. So we're always given the opportunity to clean up our energy when we're being aware And cleaning up our energy, being aware, let me finish that. When we're being aware of how we feel, when we're being aware and in the truth of our desire. And the thing is, we're never going to stop desiring. Desires are always going to pop up. We're going to grow into more desires. And it's also up to us to voice those to our partners and to choose someone to recognize, are we with someone who's growing in the same direction of our desires? And not that your partner needs to fulfill all of your desires. As I mentioned, I have a desire to be bilingual and, have Spanish be a part of my life. And I have really good close friends who, are Mexican and speak Spanish. And that for me fulfills that desire, fulfills it. So now I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not relying on finding a Latino man. So recognizing that you're always going to have desires, growing in the same direction with someone, gathering that data. Are they growing in the same direction as me? Do they want the same things as me? And you're going to grow through and learn information from every single relationship that you're in. You're going to feel emotions. You're going to feel your beliefs come up. They might be challenged. You might, change some beliefs for the better, which is great as well. So when you're cleaning up your energy, when you're living in alignment with your truth of what it is that you want in your life, your desire is an emotion. It's drawing you towards something. What is it that you want? What is it that you want? Because life wants that for you. You wouldn't want it. Like, your desires are seeking you. You've seen that quote around, life wants it for you. You want it for a reason. You came here to be a creator of your reality, and you can't create without a desire. So your desires then have to match your beliefs, and we have to then change our beliefs in order to match up with our desires. And that's how you meet a man. When you start to live in alignment with your truest desires, and when you desire a man, a certain type of man, a man who's going to protect you, provide for you, love you, a man that's going to cherish and adore you, do your beliefs show that? Do you hold beliefs that you're like, yes, I believe that there are good men out there. Yes, I believe that there are men that want to love me, protect me, and provide for me. You've got to have those beliefs. Get those beliefs on board. Because once your desire and your beliefs match, that's when you manifest it. That's when you realize it in your reality. In your reality. If you listen to Abraham Hicks, that's what they say. Desire has to match belief. You have to be on the same frequency as your desire. And so otherwise you're misaligned. So alignment is being on the same frequency as the very man that you want, the relationship that you desire. So where might your beliefs that are changing how you feel, where are those beliefs not supporting what you desire about your relationship? And that will also help you clean up your energy. And again, looking at what feels good to you in your life. What do you want more of? What can you claim more of? What can you give yourself? How can you give yourself even permission to be more of yourself? Because that is putting you in alignment. So not only is it your beliefs, but as I always talk about, because your beliefs are your energy, your feminine energy, choosing more of these beliefs of possibility. Yes, this is in your mind, but it's also this feminine energy of like, what is the possibility, the curiosity, the play? What can I imagine? And it's also about your expression of who you are being, your feminine expression, permissioning yourself, prioritizing yourself, being more selfish for you so that you can live in alignment with you, and also your feminine embodiment, your embodiment of caring about how you feel, of honoring your emotions, of creating emotional release, of not overriding your body, because overriding your body means that you're then taking actions and doing things that are out of alignment with you, which will continue to cause emotions that don't feel good, So again, you're going to be just cleaning up your energy until you finally get it right. So for instance, for me, drinking was one thing. When I used to drink, and then I would be like, oh, I hate being hungover, and I hate, feeling this way. And I just realized, oh, this doesn't feel good for me, and I don't want to feel this way anymore. And so I started drinking less and drinking less and drinking less. And then as I started learning more and more about energy, I was like, oh, actually this whole drinking thing is like really holding back my most magnetic energy. Now, not everything is black and white. You do what works for you. Everybody's body has different sensitivities and things like that. But for me, drinking for me was cutting me off from my body, and I was disassociating from my body, and I wasn't acting in alignment with myself. So then I was like, okay, I don't like this anymore. I want to be clear and clean, clarity, clean body, clean vessel. And I want this relationship to my body. I don't want to sever or numb the relationship to my body. And so that was part of my embodiment and cleaning up my energy of like, okay, I'm no longer going to do that thing that doesn't make me feel good anymore. I'm going to live more in alignment with what does feel right for me. And everybody is a little bit different. This has nuance to it. So there are many, many ways that you can clean up your energy, whether it's through your beliefs, through your environment, through the choices that you're making, the boundaries, the standards that you have, how you have relationship to yourself. And this is what I do in my one-on-one Turned On Woman mentorship, is help you clean up your energy through your mindset and your beliefs, getting a little more delulu with it, having fun with it, your feminine expression and your feminine embodiment, so that you are truly living in alignment with you, your most authentic self, becoming more of yourself, because you attract who you are being. And when you are being in alignment with your soul or with your inner being, from that place, that's where you attract the same level frequency soulmate. That's where you attract a soulmate. And you're going to have many soulmates, because you're likely not going to, you're going to date different people, and each one is going to show you something to deepen into. Or maybe the next man is your man. But your depth and connection with that man, that soul level connection, it starts with you. You have to get to know yourself. You have to clean up your own energy. Sorry, there's something out there on the street that is making a little horn honk. Living in Mexico, it's noisy here, but I love it. I don't love the noise, but I do love the nature and being here. So the relationship that you have with a man starts with relationship to yourself, cleaning up your energy, cleaning up the conditioning, the layers of conditioning, and then cleaning up your present with like, how am I acting? How am I behaving? Who am I being? What places am I in? What feels good? What doesn't feel good? And continuing to refine over and over again until a majority of your energy is in this abundance, filtered through abundance, so that you're in overflow, so that you can attract more love, more joy, more happiness, because you're already consistently there. You're already the frequency of that. Yes, you're going to be pulled into lower emotions, such as, anger, sadness, guilt, shame, those things from time to time. But a majority of the time, you're able to realign yourself. You're able to get yourself back into the higher level frequencies, which is where you meet a man from overflow. And therefore, you're able to connect with him in a space of loving connection, happiness, joy, adventure, rather than from a place of insecurity and inconsistency. And, the love's not flowing. And because you've got to be flowing the love to yourself first and foremost, and have strong AF standards and boundaries for who receives that love. That's how you start to clean it up, and you become a stronger match for the man that you desire, because that he is being a reflection of you. at the end of the day, when you're living into your desire and you're becoming more and more of yourself without these conditioned beliefs and behaviors and patterns and habits, then you are more of yourself. Therefore, you will meet more men who are in alignment with you so that you can enjoy the dating process, and you eventually, it's inevitable, you will meet the man for you, your forever man that you want to marry and make babies with. And you're trusting the process, you're trusting life, and you're trusting yourself in that relationship. You're trusting yourself in that relationship, you're trusting that man because you trust yourself. It's all a reflection of you. Okay, let me know if you have any questions on cleaning up your energy. Again, this is all of the work that I do in my one-on-one mentorship, Turned On Woman, turning on your energy so that you can create your reality with the man in it, because he's not separate from you. All right, my love, DM me on Instagram at Lauren Likes It Like That if you have any questions or you want to inquire about mentorship, and I'll see you next time in the next episode.